Hello, my name is Misha Sharif, and you're watching Decoding Careers, where I talk to professionals about their careers. Today, we have Amina Masood, who works as a chef for her own company called Billion Cakes. Now, here's some information about being a chef. On average, the salary for a chef ranges from about $23,000 to $74,000. Most chefs begin their careers in entry-level kitchen jobs as they pursue an education. A cooking license is available through the American Culinary Federation, and though it's not necessary, it demonstrates skill, knowledge, and professionalism to prospective employers. There's no higher education or formal training needed to become a chef, but culinary school is always an option and it's always recommended. So, Miss Amina Masood, how are you doing today?
I am good, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for agreeing to this interview. Now, let's get started with our questions for today. What three words do you think best describe your profession?
I think hard work is definitely one, uh, perseverance, and customer service.
Do you think you could explain to me why?
Uh, it has the of culinary or pastry chef requires very different hours to a 9 to 5 job. So you have to be prepared for that, and you have to be very passionate about your work to be able to do that. And then you have to deal with a lot of people because you're constantly making things for your customers, and they may or may not like it, even if it's up to what they ask for. So that requires a lot of patience and good customer service.
Okay, so I definitely see that you, as a chef, you're talking to your customers and you're talking to the people around you who you're cooking with. And I know I mentioned this earlier, but could you describe to me, in your words, what educational background is best for this kind of career?
Generally, they don't always need. Right now, especially, there's a shortage of labor, so a lot of uh, people are hiring without much background in culinary or pastry, and they, even if you have some experience in the kitchen, they are hiring right now. However, if you want to move up and become an executive chef, then it is better that you get an associate. A lot of the culinary schools offer the ACF certification as part of the associate, which is what I have, and you can continue going higher with your certifications once you start with that, and you can even go on to bachelor's. A lot of the big culinary schools have a bachelor's.
Okay, so there are definitely many different options
Mhm.
if you
If
do want to. Oh,
if
sorry.
you plan to work like in a hotel chain like Hilton or Hyatt, then you definitely need a bachelor's or an associate with extra certifications.
Okay, so there's definitely options if you just want to do it as like here and there. But if you do want to excel, then you need to have a higher education. That's interesting actually. And it kind of is like it leaves you open if you want to see if you want to try it or not. I think that's really cool. Could you describe to me a typical day in your job?
Since I have my own work, definitely varies. It's more like answering emails or calls from customers, then planning out what I need to do for the week, buying supplies. Sometimes that's online, sometimes that's in person. I have to go get like flour, sugar, things like that, butter, eggs, all those things. And I also keep track of my expenses, so I do all my own expenses. Then the baking, and usually that's a day before the order, baking and decorating.
Okay, yeah. And you deal with cakes, right?
Cakes and pastries, yes.
Okay, I love cakes, and I think that when you decided to open your company and cook as well, I think that's a great choice because you're following your passion and you're doing what you like. Let's move on to the next question. What do you think are the 3 most important skills needed for your job?
Uh, as I said, you need a lot of patience and you need to be passionate about it because it does not pay well. That's the main thing. What we actually deserve, it does not pay because we work very odd hours. And when I was working in the industry as well, my typical day started at 4 a.m. and ended sometimes in the evening, depending on how busy we were. So, it doesn't always pay that well. And the hours are, you're working holidays, you're working Thanksgiving, you're working Christmas holidays, you're working Valentine's. So it doesn't give you very much family life. So
Oh
you have
yeah.
to get to a point where maybe you can move on to having a more administrative job or being an executive chef. But even then, you still have to make that sacrifice. So it is really up to you if you want to, if you are passionate enough about it, then you go for it. Even now, we typically don't go out of town in the holidays because I have orders to take care of.
Yeah. That kind of answers the next question that I was asking, which is what are some of the challenges that come with your profession? And when you were talking about that chefs, they don't get paid enough, that it just reminds me that like there's so many people that work so hard and yet they are not appreciated. And I think that when someone decides to be a chef, they're just taking a big step in their life because like you just said, it takes a lot of passion and love because you are putting all your time and effort into this one career. So then let's skip that question and go on to the next question, which is how do you balance your personal life with your work life?
The advantage of working for myself now is that I can plan around family time, and I can make it. I can work on things during the week, or I actually work in the culinary department at Colin as well. So sometimes I do things in the evening or on the weekend. So it's hard to balance the time, but you should always give priority to your family.
Definitely. I think family goes first for every scenario because your family is always there with you and they're always there
Yeah.
to back you up.
And sometimes you have to say no to
Yeah.
orders. So
Hmm.
you have to
Definitely.
put things, you have to put your family and yourself first.
Hmm. And I think when you don't do that and when you put your work first, you definitely take out like that element of like fun, like I'm doing this for myself and for my happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
this
and
is
nobody is going to remember that you put in
exactly.
that extra time.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
Of course. And this is the most important question that is coming up next. So, whoever in the audience is not paying attention, please pay attention. What advice would you give to a high schooler who is trying to pursue this career?
I would say if you are okay with working hard, physically hard, because you have to be on your feet, you have to work with your hands. So physically, you have to be strong. You have to be mentally strong because people can be mean, and you have to be able to be passionate about it at the same time. And eventually, while you're training, those things will happen and it will be a tough environment, but eventually you will find the right place for you. So I
Very
would
well
say
said.
just be passionate. If you are truly passionate about it, then go for it.
I think that's really well said. And I feel like that advice can apply to everyone, even people who are not being a chef. If you are passionate about anything, go for it. And where your heart is at, that's where you should be. Thank you so much for being here and agreeing to this interview.
You're welcome.
And just in general, thank you. And everybody, this is Amina Masood. She is a very talented cake artist and baker. I took one of her cake classes when I was younger. Follow her on Instagram at Brilliant Cakes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.